The Elementalist Spear is one of the most fun weapons that they came out with in Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds, and it's basically like a staff playstyle, but staff has a lot of utility and support on it, whereas spear is mostly selfish and revolving around damage combos. So it's more of that kind of like Zerker staff Ellie playstyle, but now it's Zerker spear Ellie playstyle. So in this video, I'm going to show all the mechanics of the spear Ellie, a build that I find is great in PvP, and then we'll show some gameplay commentary of a couple matches because one of the more fun builds I've played. So first of all, let's start with the spear mechanics. So every attunement, you're going to have the 2 skill, which does kind of like a damaging effect. Remember that the skills they're organized by cooldown, so always the lowest cooldown is on the left, the highest cooldown is on the right. So in water, we've got the 2 skill is an ice beam on the target. It just chills, does 3 hits. You got to face the target while doing that. 2 skill in air is Fulgor. It creates a thing in the sky, and any enemies under that will get a debuff, which lightning strikes them. They'll keep getting the debuff while they're below the thing in the sky, but they'll get striked for a little bit after they leave it because the debuff lingers for a little bit. So nice for cleaving down bodies, but also great for when you CC enemies into it. So some combos on that later. And then in Earth, we've got Spear 2, gives just a projectile, and you don't need to be facing the target. So all these skills so far don't need you to face the target except for the Water 2. That one needs you to face the target. So the theme of this weapon is kind of like 1200 range on every skill, and then like you have a lot of mobility or like versatility of movement while using them. So it's a kiting weapon for like doing a lot of damage, but if you get people jumping on top of you, then you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So you need to use positioning wisely. So now the 3 skills are all gonna be like a buff to your next skill. In fire, it's gonna give you might and fury, and your next spear skill will do 20% more damage. And then in water, so by the way, this also has a kind of like a short animation to it. The water 3 is a great evade that heals you, and it's a leap finisher, great for using in water fields for extra healing, and it will cleanse and heal. So it does a lot for defense. So when you're under pressure, you swap to water, press the 3, and you're pretty safe. But it will also reduce the recharge of your next skill. So generally you want to use that on like the higher cooldown skills on the 4 and 5. And then in air, it makes your next ability critically hit 100% chance and will give you super speed. But this does not have an animation, and you can use it while using another casted skill. So for example, if I am in fire, and the fire 2 skill was not the best skill to use it on, but let's just say that we want to use it on fire 2. We can fire 2, and then while that's in the air, we can get 100% crit on it by swapping to the air and using the 3 skill. So that's kind of nice, but generally you don't want to use that on the fire 2. You want to use it on maybe the edge, but we'll get into that later. So we're just going over the 3 skills right now. 3 skill in earth is harden. You gain barrier, and your next spear skill will daze. Great synergy with lightning rod, and if you're using like an AoE spell, it'll do AoE daze, right, instead of single target. So that's kind of nice as well for the later skills here. Now in fire, the 4 skill is, in all attunements, the 4 skills are going to be a ground target, which I'll show here, which has 2 ranges to it. So it has an outer and an inner range. The outer range will just do some damage with the meteor, and the inner range will do 25% more damage. So you really want people to be hit by the inner area, but that's kind of hard to land, especially because the meteor is... So what I'm getting at here is that positioning all of your skills is all ground targeted pretty much. And to really land them easily on moving targets, you really need to enable instant ground targeting with the skill retargeting. And this is because you just need to put your cursor on the enemy, and then it will kind of like move that to wherever your cursor is at the end of the cast instead of at the beginning. So what that equates to is you just need to put your cursor on the enemy and just spam your skills and combos, and it'll put it right on top of them. Whereas if you don't have that enabled, then it's going to do it, and then they're going to move out of range, and then you're going to miss. But with the 4 skill on Meteor, if I do that, it's not going to work as well because the Meteor takes a little bit of time for you to cast it. So like, see for example here, I cast it there, and then I move my cursor, and it's still cast there. So Meteor is really important to use a CC beforehand because you can't retarget it. Whereas, for example, if I use the Air 2, I'm going to cast it over here, and then it ends up being over here. So that's the power of skill retargeting, but the fire skills don't really get too much value from skill retargeting. So you need to use CCs with the fire attunement, essentially, right? But what I was saying is the 4 skills all have that reticle right in the center, and you've seen it, but now I've got instant skill retargeting on, so now you can't see it. But the water 4, so it has an outer ring and an inner ring. The outer ring will pull, so even if they're in the inner, it'll pull as well, so it pulls anyone in the range. And if they're in the inside, it will give them a slow. So we can also retarget that, so it's pretty easy to land, and the threshold for the pull is also the entire range, so it's a very easy CC to land. So you want to generally do this, one combo is undertow into the Meteor. Now the Air 4 is a CC just like the Water 4, but it needs you to hit them with the inner circle for you to get the float CC. If it hits them just with the outer, well, then it's just going to be vulnerability. So you really want to hit them with the inner. Now you can use snap to ground targeting is another thing you can use. I don't use it myself. I like to aim personally, but you've got snap to ground target here, and that allows you to play this build very easily as well, because all I'm doing is just, I can skill click, right? Wait, that doesn't work? Well, let's say here. Okay, now it works. I guess you can't skill click it because it'll put it on yourself, but all of my skills, I'm not putting my cursor on the target, but you can see it's aiming right at the target with all those ground target skills. So if you really want an easy way to play Spear, then put on snap ground target, but that is going to make it harder for some skills. Like the fire skills are not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to lead enemies on with it. So a little bit more skill requirement if you don't use snap ground target, but it is kind of nice. And if you're using Catalyst, you can't use snap ground target as well, because you need to put the Jade Spheres on yourself, and then like you need to keep your cursor on the enemy, but then you also need to like Jade Sphere on yourself. So it just doesn't work out because you need to constantly put your cursor on them, but then you need to move it to you, but you need to press them both at the same time because you're doing combos. And that's why I kind of don't really like Catalyst, so I went with the Tempest build. But yeah, that's just kind of like some of the setting options that you need to think about when targeting with ground targets for Ellie. But anyways, the Air 4, right? It's a CC, puts them in the air, and that enables a lot of combos. They stand in, they're CC'd in your Fulgor longer as well. And then you can also do other combos with that. So the CCs are Water 4 and Air 4 to kind of set up your combos. And then in Earth, the 4 skill is going to be weakness on the inside and 25% more damage. And then on the outside, it just cripples. So cripple on this one, and then weakness on this one, and a little bit more damage. And then we've got the etches. So the etches are the 5 skills. You create a glyph around you, and while you're standing in this glyph, you're pulsing boons on yourself. In fire, you're going to get might. In water, you actually don't get any boons, but you do get a water field, which you can combo with. In air, you're going to get fury. And in earth, you're going to get stability. So stability is pretty powerful on Elementalist because they do not like being CC'd. So using this, even if you don't complete it, is pretty nice. But what we're going to do is we're going to need to cast 3 skills while inside that etch. It can be any of your spear skills. It can be your auto attack. It could be an attunement, not an attunement swap, obviously, because then you're swapping out of the attunement. But like an overload, it can count. But you cannot, it lasts 7 seconds. So the overload is going to take up a lot of that time. So you need to do this fast. And you can also use your utility skills. I can just blink. And what I'm going to be able to do is cast a skill once I've used those 3 skills. And it gives you a little bit of time after the etch ends to use it if you've enabled it. But you need to use it quickly because you want to swap attunements and it's going to just time out. And you can see I created a volcano there. And the volcano takes a little bit of time for it to tick its damage, but you're going to use that with CCs. So generally I'll do 5, and then I will swap into water, and then I will use the undertow on them, and then the 2. So that's a nice combo, is you create the volcano, swap to water, CC, and then water 2, and then they take all the ticking volcano ticks. Now in water, we do 3 skills, and then we use the Jockle Hop, which is just going to heal you. It doesn't heal your allies, it heals you. And that's pretty much it. It does a little bit of damage, but is mostly just for self-sustain. I don't use this too much, but if you do use it and you need it, it's there. Now in air, we have Derecho. So we're going to use our 5, and then we'll generally use 2, 4, and then 3, because we want to get the crit on the Derecho because it does a heavy hit. So we want that to crit, but it's also a daze, so it'll trigger lightning rod, for example. So this usually does a lot of damage, and we're comboing it usually with the 4, 2, and then 3. We want to make sure that the 3 gets on the 5 there, because the 2 we don't really want to crit on the next hit with this multi-hitting, and this doesn't do any damage because it's a CC. So always use the 4 and 2 before the 3, and then use the 3 right before the 5. And because this is an instant cast skill, it's kind of weird because you need to use it to enable the 5, but you can't use it in the animation of your 5 skill because you need to use it to enable the 5, right? So what you can often do is like 5, 4, 2, and then maybe a utility skill, and then cast the 5, and then while you're in the animation there, so for example, do 5, 4, 2, and then this, and then I'll cast it, and then I'll use 3 while it's casting so that I can ensure that it gets the crit on that. But super speed is pretty powerful, and you can use that for defensive or offensive options, so you don't need to use it to get the crit always, because we do have a decent amount of crit chance. We've got Fury on this build, so 70% crit chance, and that's gonna pretty much make the retro crit most of the time, but the 100% crit is always nice, so if you really want that, then use it, but otherwise you can just use the super speed to get mobility. Now, the Earth 5, right, it gives you stability, and it gives you a combo field dark. By the way, the air one gives you combo field lightning, so you can blast that with the air 4 as well. Air 4 is a blast, and fire 2 is a blast. So at the start of a match, you're going to be using that for swiftness. And then the Earth one will use 3 abilities here. The Haboob it's just going to do a decent amount of damage. It's actually pretty good damage, but then it gives weakness, cripple, blind, and vulnerability to the target. So it's kind of debilitating, and it's just a nice thing to use because all the Earth skills are kind of nice already, because the day is going to trigger lightning rod, the 4 skills pretty good damage, and the 2 skill is decent damage. So we'll do like 5, 3, 4, and a 2, and then 5 again. Does pretty good damage. Like if it crits, it does like 4k. So we've got Berserker Amulet here, so we're doing pretty high damage with most of our skills. So those are all the skills, but what are the let's go over the build first before we go over the combos. Obviously we're using Berserk Amulet with the Relic of Fireworks. All of our skills are like really long cooldowns, so we get fireworks pretty much non-stop. Vampirism to give us some vitality with the Soothing Power trait. This is a new addition, they buffed this, so you get vitality, and that just allows us to run a Berserker Amulet to get high damage without being one-shotted by everything in the game. We still get one-shotted by half the things in the game, but just not everything. Now I go for an Energy Sigil and Separation for even more damage modifiers, and then we go for like the damage modifiers in water. There's actually quite a bit of damage here, so we get extra damage from vulnerability on the target. We do get vulnerability from, I believe, yeah, the 5 skill here, the air 2 and the air 4 give vulnerability, and then water does not give vulnerability. So yeah, we're always starting out with air anyways. Air swapping into air attunement also gives vulnerability, we get extra damage from that, and just from having high health we get extra damage modifiers. Water is a pretty aggressive trait line nowadays, so it's pretty nice that we get some vitality there, which allows us to take Berserk Amulet for even more damage modifiers. Then we just go for Ferocious Winds. We don't really need Swiftness because we've got the Harmonious Conduit as a Tempest. Raging Storm just gives us more Fury. And then Lightning Rod whenever we CC, get extra damage. Get some auras here whenever we overload. You could go either of these, but I feel like the auras are sometimes more useful. And then obviously the stability here is pretty important to get your overloads off. And this just gives you your overloads faster so that you can use them sooner, which is also when you stun break, right? Because your stun break is on your overloads as well, because we've only got Armor of Earth here and the rest are no stun breaks. So the combos that I usually like to do are start in air, do the 5, 4, 2, 3, 5, and then we'll immediately go into the air overload, immobilize them with the aftershock while they're in the overload air there, and then we'll swap to fire while they're immobilized, immediately use the 5, 2, 3, 4, or you can use a Seethe if you want to get extra damage on your meteor, but generally it's not that important what you use your Seethe on. So we'll get 3 skills there. I need to wait again because I'm delaying here, but use the Etch. You'll do the 2, 3, 4 or whatever and get the Volcano out. And then once you've got the Volcano out, we'll do the Volcano and then we'll CC them in that with the Undertow. And then from there we can go into Earth, just do the normal 3, 4, 2. I like to get the Daze on the 4 skill because it's easier to land. But if you put the Daze on the Haboob, then you get an AoE CC that hits a lot of targets. But I find that it's easier to land the Fissure, so it ensures the Daze and the extra damage from the Lightning Rod better. So I kind of like that. But here's a reminder also that the skill retargeting is really useful on the the Earth and the Air and the Water 5 skills, because they have like this, I'd say they have a trajectory that's kind of slow, but you can retarget it. So like I just retarget it to the side right there, and that's really important for moving targets. The air one as well, moving targets. Put it to the side and then I can shoot it behind me, so it doesn't matter which way you're facing, and it doesn't matter like at what time you aim it. You can retarget it and you can use it in any direction, so it's really great in like these mobile PvP fights. Now the fire one obviously is not the best, so you have to combo a CC with it, but there's some also good combos that you can do with the water. So like say I went air first, but then I got really pressured after using my air overload and I needed to go into water immediately, use the 5 into 3, and maybe I'd stay long enough to get my water 4 off. Now water 4 is the big CC that you want to land before using your water 2, or water 2 isn't really amazing damage, so what you can do is you can water 4 into fire 4, and that ensures that your meteor lands, which is one of your heaviest hitting abilities that are kind of like single casting. And then you can go straight into the fire 2 as well right after the meteor. So yeah, water 4 into fire 4, fire 2. You could use Seethe, but if you really think about it, Seethe has a half-second cast to do 20% more damage. Would I rather want to do like 20 to 30% more damage on my next skill, or just use an entirely different skill which would do 100% of that skill's damage? So I really think Seethe is not amazing just because it has a cast time. If they made it so that it had basically no cast time, and then I could use it in the middle of my meteor, then that would be perfect. I'd always use it in the meteor. But since it's not, then I kind of don't use it unless I need to get an etch skill participation. So here's a match playing the Spear Tempest. I'm going to head into mid as usual because our role is to team fight, but I need to be careful. My teammates give me Shadow Refuge, but I didn't know they were going to do that, so I reveal myself. But I precast the glyph there to get the derecho, but their Willbender jumps on me immediately, and their entire team is on me. There's also a Dragon Hunter here, so I'm just using the Water 3 to get out, and I just disengage, because if their team is that aggressive on me, then my team should be able to punish that. I tried to land the Meteor, but I didn't time it very well. So I'm just going to come back into this team fight. They did manage to get a kill because their entire team was all on me. So I'm going to precast my Derecho here. Misses, but I'm going to get the air overload. So kind of how this works is the Tempest serves as like a more reliable damage because the overloads are just constantly pulsing and they're like an AoE around me, so I don't have to aim them that much. And then the actual spear skills are a little bit more reliable for like range damage, where I can do it more safely, but they are harder to land, so they're less reliable for, you know, situations where I need to get that damage out. And then once like I've done enough damage with the spear from range, I can go and secure the kill with like air overload. So that's kind of how I usually play it. So we're going to do the Derecho here, and it misses, but since I pretty much used everything, I'm going to air overload, immobilize them with the aftershock, and just finish them off, or 3v1ing that guy. So yeah, that's another thing, is bunker builds do not survive against this, even though that wasn't a bunker, but just this does insane amount of damage and bunkers do not survive against it. So it just kind of feels nice when there's like a lot of people playing really tanky stuff because they don't want to lose, and dying is like the easiest way to lose, so they just play as tanky as possible. Well, this kind of prevents people from tanking up too much. We finish off the down body with a volcano there, pull people in, and yeah, a lot of damage. As you can see, they can't res through that. Now we're gonna chase down this Dragon Hunter. I've got my Derecho coming up. I aim it correctly, but it did not crit. I believe that's because I pressed the 3 skill too early, and it happened to give me the effect on one of my other skills maybe. But yeah, basically you want to make sure you get that crit on the, it might have also been weakness, because I'm not sure how 100% crit chance effects work with weakness, if they just override each other. But yeah, you want to get that 100% crit chance from the 3 skill on your Derecho, because the crit can do a lot of damage. Now here we're going to get our volcano, and then we're going to go into air and CC them in it. They got out of it probably a little bit later than I used my CC, but still got the damage. Our Deadeye is free casting with me. And as you can see, when someone will play the role of a duelist, or will support you, or just, you know, get the attention of the enemy for you, when you're free casting, you're doing a lot of damage. So now there's an Untamed on me. I'm going to precast my Aftershock to prevent any like pressure on me with the, you know, the magnetic aura gives me reflection, the protection as well. So I usually use that at the start because it's a pretty fast cast, and then I can do like an overload, which will also give me protection, but it'll protect me a little bit more in my overload to already have more protection uptime and that reflect. And it'll also immobilize, right? So Aftershock is just really nice for landing damage because it immobilizes so long. And some of my skills, yeah, they're kind of hard to land sometimes. Now their team is coming in to mid. I use my Earth combo, but I get blasted by their Harbinger, so I have to use my heal skill, but they're coming for me. I can get another aura here to reflect, but yeah, that's really dangerous, and this Harbinger is doing a lot of damage to me. But I've got my Jockle Hop. They dodge over it, actually, unfortunately. So if they wouldn't have dodged that, I would have got the 4K heal and maybe survived through that. You can see my downstate does a lot of damage, but this is not going to be relevant. We're going to die and rally them. So when someone can just run up to you like that and you don't have any way to CC them because they have stability or something like that, you need to just like port to like a no port spot and, you know, like jump up terrain, because then you can kind of like counter pressure people that are jumping and chasing you, because you've got a lot of movement that is independent of your skills. So you just got to keep throwing skills at people while they're chasing you up terrain and stuff like that. And that's the only way you're really going to survive, when people know how to focus you. But we're going to use our Derecho combo here, the 5-4-2-3-5 combo, into the air overload. Get a nice little damage on their Harbinger with my team here. It's always nice not having, you know, the entire enemy team focusing you because you've got a team. So that's kind of a luxury that I'm having in this match. I use the 4 skill to CC them into the volcano, but they've got all of their defensive stuff anyway, so it didn't really do much. I use the water overload to heal myself. I can use some extra water combos here. And then we're going to go back into the air to do our derecho combo and finish them off. I got to aim this pretty well. And there you go, 7k damage. Pretty good. And now we're going to rotate into far node because our thief is there. Yeah, maybe we don't want to go there because the thief is just going to decap. They don't want to hold that. So we're just going to decap that and then go into mid with the rest of our team. So immediately I've got the fire etch going, but this is really not the best here because I have to CC them into it. Though it does kind of work out, putting the volcano down there and CCing them into it. I figured they'd have stability, but they didn't. And we get some decent kills here, though we're kind of outnumbering them pretty hard because we had over-rotated and lost mid at the same time. So now we're going to go for the air combo here, but I need to get my etch out in a spot that is convenient for me to use my skills in. And somehow I get nuked pretty hard, I believe by the... Was that the Dragon Hunter spear? I'm being chased by the Untamed now. Got my stability up. I daze them. They have stability as well. Using my Earth Overload to protect myself. And I use the fire combo there. The Meteor and the Spear both critted. So they're like, nah, I don't want to keep chasing that. So they back off. And so counter pressure is really important for defense here. Now the Harbinger's back on me. I'm going to back off again, use my water combo, CC them, and give them the 4 into 2 combo there in water. And my teammates are there with me to react, which is nice. We are able to get that kill on the overextended Necro. See, that's one thing. Sure, the enemies can chase you faster than you can chase them, but then they have to give up their positioning to do so. So the range is pretty nice. Now I land my derecho, but it actually misses because the Dragon Hunter ported behind me. I ported into their double spear combo, and I just get deleted there. So yeah, the burst is pretty insane on spear sometimes, but that was kind of my fault for porting in. I tried to get a lot of damage off on my air overload. I didn't need to do that because it probably wasn't going to kill them anyways. So we got a little bit overzealous there, but we're going to head into far. We don't want a 1v1, obviously, so I'm just going to go into far. I see their Willbender is here, and I think they have it down there, but we're just going to pressure the Willbender, use the derecho, which does 7k, so now we're going to blink in with our air overload. Same play as before, but it works out this time, so sometimes you just get unlucky, I guess, but we're going to do the fire overload, which does quite a bit of damage in melee range, but it's extremely risky to do so. So generally don't want to do that, but we're going to finish them off because we've already got some kills, so we're outnumbering them. So yeah, you just need to kind of like gauge the risk of your positioning and how aggressive you can play, whether you need to kite and use your skills from range, or if you can go in with the overloads and, you know, secure those kills. So at this point, we've got sides. I can full cap mid, because yeah, their team is rotating in. I'm getting chased by a Willbender, so I back off. I was not paying attention, I guess, so I wasn't ready for that. Anyways, the Willbender, we're going to go on them with the 4 into 2 ice combo. As you can see, it would have been better for me to use Meteor, but I landed it anyways because my Reaper landed a really nice chill to the bone. And that 7k is going to help me finish them off. And then we cleave the down body with the Fire Overload. 3.5k ticks per crit on Fire Overload is really good, but as I said, you got to be in melee on the squishy build, so only using it in those like fringe situations where you're able to do it, where someone is either not paying attention to you or your team is peeling for you. Now we've got our air combo ready here. We just want to bait them into the node. So here they come. They get me with the spear here, and I use my air overload to get some stability, but they waited right for the stability to end to pull me with the tether there into their spear combo. So yeah, the stability was, I think my cooldown was down for the Armor of Earth, and I didn't have my, what is it called, the Haboob glyph up, or the etch, so I didn't have any stability there. So when you see a Dragon Hunter's got the pull on you and you're going to get pulled into a combo, really want to put that stability up. Now, it looks like we're going into mid, but our team is dying there, so I probably want to go into far. Yeah, probably don't want to go to mid. Well, they've got one down. Maybe they can rally. If I can come in here and finish that, then that'll be pretty good. But no, they rally before I'm able to get there. But we've got the Deadeye still there, and I can maybe finish off a kill here with the Ice Beam. Gonna use my air combo next, probably. I just don't want to die, so I'm using my heal skill here. I use my air overload before I even go into the combo there. That's kind of weird that I didn't use the derecho combo, because that's like my main damage, but it worked out anyways. And we're just going to overload to finish this off. Yeah, because I think we're gonna rally them if we go down here, so I needed to finish that off. Now we're in water here, so I can do the combo. Yeah, I'm not using the combos because I'm still learning the build, but like I'm seeing in the post commentary here that I could have done that combo there, the water 4 into meteor combo. I just wasn't thinking about that because a lot of things to think about. There, I just did it. I did the water 4 into the meteor combo, and so we're gonna probably finish this guy off when we get the earth combo here. There's the CC. Haboob doesn't do any damage. I get corrupted, so I'm actually in a bad spot. I'm using Fiery Greatsword in this match, but I don't think I use it a single time because I'm not really, like, that's one more skill for me to think about, and there's already so many skills I'm thinking about using, and I'm not really running out of skills to use, though I sort of am. There's a nice derecho there, gets them to half health, and then I immobilize them with the Aftershock into my air overload. I get bursted again by their Shroud too. Gotta be careful, but my team is able to help me finish this off with the water 4 into 2 combo. So yeah, that's pretty much, we're gonna win this match. But as you can see, the damage is definitely there. I think the weapon is pretty good. It's definitely a lot of fun, so I'd like it to be more viable, but I also think that it maybe doesn't need to be tuned that much better, because some of these skills are not very interactive. It's hard for you to like avoid a CC, which has basically no animation, right? Like this ripple or undertow thing right there, you don't see the animation before it hits you, you see it after it hits you. So that's something you got to use to your advantage. Now here's another match that kind of shows how I handle getting focused as well. Immediately, I don't want to go out the side gate because I know that I could just get collapsed on by multiple players, so I'll just wait, come in afterwards. I go for the flesh worm here because I don't want the necro that I'm about to chase to have an escape. And I go in with the aftershock to immobilize them, but it doesn't land. I get some spear off, and there's the volcano into the undertow combo, which gets quite a bit of damage on the Reaper here. Now, I'm trying to do my derecho combo. I land it, but it hits into their shroud, so the damage isn't quite there. And I see that my ally goes down, so I'm going to use my earth combo. I miss it, so no damage is really going off here. I do land the Haboob there, so that's some good damage, but I've got to follow up, and I don't have too many, options for that right now because my air is on cooldown, and while I could use fire, I've got to usually combo with fire. I need to go into air or into water first before I can go into fire. So there weren't too many options there to do damage, and I kind of missed some of my abilities. So our teammates died before I could get presence, but I get a nice CC combo on their Willbender while they're chasing me. I get Condi bombed, and I use my tornado there instead of healing. So I should have cleansed there instead of using tornado because I thought that they would res, but instead of resing, they went for me instead. So yeah, I wasn't using the Fiery Greatsword that much, so I figured I'd use tornado because it's a little bit faster. But honestly, like Fiery Greatsword or tornado, both are kind of like good. You don't really have too many good options. If you play Catalyst though, you have the Catalyst Elite, which is really good. But the issue with that is then you're a Catalyst, and it's just not it just doesn't really work out with the Catalyst because of how the ground targeting works with spheres. You want to put on yourself and then the AoEs that you want to put on the enemy at the same time. It just messes with your targeting. But I see that their thief is jumping on me here. I try to recast my Haboob behind me, but not able to get out the damage there. I get jumped on by the Willbender, so I'm going to use my Water Overload while kiting through terrain. And they're trying to chase me, but they realize that they're going to basically die because they've overextended. And we're able to get the kill. Their thief is going to leave, so I'm going to push into mid with my team because now we can get some momentum here. I missed my derecho there because it hits a wall. Yeah, so we're just heading into mid now. Probably want to open with my fire here. Yeah, maybe fire. I don't use the glyph there early enough to be able to get the volcano value. There's the volcano. I use the undertow into the volcano. They're in shroud, so it doesn't do too much damage. We can use the derecho combo now and finish them off. So yeah, you can see the combos, they're pretty good. You just have to get the muscle memory down, as with any LE build. So this is kind of a new weapon. I haven't been playing this build only, so you know, I've been playing a lot of other builds, so I'm not really too practiced on the spear yet, but this is essentially, you know, kind of how you want to play it. You know, maybe later on I'll come out with some more spear vids, because I think it's really fun. I like to play it a lot more, but this is why I'm showing 2 games. So we get the derecho combo out here, and there's a NG coming at me, so I immediately aftershock to reflect their projectiles, get my air overload down, and then use my full gore to potentially get some more damage on them, but they just rocket boots away or something while the mech is on me, so I'm gonna just back off. My team is finally going into far, so they're gonna play the role of a duelist, so I can go into the team fight and do big damage. But yeah, their Mesmer is on me, so I have to double dodge out, and the Willbender as well, so I don't want to be in there. I use my Earth combo here, the 5, 4, 2, 3, 5, and that doesn't really do too much, so I'm going to overload Earth just to get some protection to prepare for my next combo. They go invulnerable, so I'm going to just get my combo out right at the end there, but it misses. They actually jumped over my derecho there, which kind of interesting. The hitboxes are not amazing on the glyph skills or the etch skills, so we got to be aiming them and timing them very well to make sure that they land. Now we want to look for a target here. My ally goes down, not much I can do to save them. I use my tornado and CC them. I use another CC, actually get their mechanist pretty low, but they're just gonna rocket boots out. I'm trying to give some protection to my team while waiting for my derecho combo, but yeah, we're pretty much all dead here. I have to use my heal skill, but at this point I am dead because I am alone. Try to super speed out, but I get taken out by the thief. So huge mistake to stay in that fight that long because it was a losing fight. I mean, I tried to carry it, which if I did, it would have worked out, but it was a bit risky, so I should have just left, especially after I saw my teammates were dying. And my positioning, where I put myself in like a dead end there, was extremely bad. I should have found terrain sooner there. So yeah, positioning, once again, extremely important on this build. So let's start out with the derecho combo. I land my 2 skill, the full gore, into my CC, so we're going to take them out. I try to meteor the down body, but it looks like they've got some blocks. And I volcano into my undertow to finish off the Mesmer here. Now, their thief is decapping us. Not much I can do about that, but maybe pressure them. I don't want to full cap that because we need to get momentum around the map. I need to let other people do the job of a duelist. Now their Willbender is on me. I use my Water 3 to evade out. Use my Water Overload to survive and just jump on terrain while they're chasing me. Get my derecho glyph out. I keep calling it glyph, but it's an etch. And as you see, I just use my combo on them as they're trying to go up the terrain. So it makes it a lot easier to hit people that chase you because their path that they're going to follow is much more predictable because they have to go up a certain path to follow you on the terrain. And that's going to allow you to do a lot more damage. So yeah, got to use that terrain well, but also use it against them, right? To survive and to do damage. So now the Mesmer, we're going to chase them with the Earth Overload to see if we can get an Immobilize there. That can help us land our abilities. I don't know what did so much damage there, but yeah, we just deleted that Mesmer there. So was that the, it might have been Fire 4. But anyways, we're going to head into mid now that we've got those kills. Our Engineer is there by themselves, but we've got a lot of kills on the map, so we can use the Derecho combo. Try to land the... No, we didn't land it because they were moving so fast. I Air Overload to try to finish them, but they're way too fast. So we're going to go back in and try to finish their Willbender. And there are like 4 of us here, so we're going to take that kill. I Earth Overload to see if I can get any, finishing damage there. But the Mechanist just ports out, so we are going to be able to get mid. And I'm going to rotate into far with our Engineer because we've got momentum, and there's not really much I should do at home because I don't want to chase a thief. I get a lot of condies on me from the Mechanist here, so I have to be careful. I try to finish my Derecho combo first, but because of that, I take a lot of damage because the condies were just ticking on me. So I use my Water 3 to just get out, try to reset with Water Overload. And I see that their Necro is very low, so I'm going to try to get them with my Air combo, with Blink, CC them. That was actually the Water 4 combo into the Meteor, so that was pretty nice. Now I'm going to go into Air to finish them off, and the Thief is going to try to res, but I have Air Overload ready, and that is a lot of cleave damage, so they're actually going to die as well trying to res that. So yeah, a lot of damage. This is, the one thing that the build is, if it's good at anything, it's good at cleaving down bodies. And also, I guess, killing Chieftain, because the Volcano plus Fire Overload does massive damage over time. So we're going to get that and let someone else cap home. You don't want to be capping nodes unless there's nothing else to do, because you can't really defend a node. Although, just spamming AoEs on the node is kind of nice, you can't survive too long while also standing in them, unless the enemy just doesn't really do any damage. Now we're going to use the Derecho combo here to try to save our ally by peeling for them. The Thief is really low. I'm using my Air Overload, and I see that they're, trying to escape. I miss my CC combo, and I hit them with the Earth 2, but they just Shadow Step out. They're going to go to mid, and I'm just going to let that happen because the rest of our team is already going there. Their NG also just disengages, so we're kind of struggling to get the kill here. I do land the Undertow into the Ice Beam, but they are counter pressuring me with a lot of conditions, so I can't finish my Derecho combo. I use Air Overload, but I see that their Mesmer's on mid, and I'm scared to get bursted by that. So we're just going to go and finish off the NG here. I get bursted though, and I rally because my teammates are here. And I'm going to use the Water combo. I can use Aftershock, which is also a blast finisher in the Water combo there. And then full heal up with the Water Overload. Now we've got a 3 cap, but we're dying at home. I can choose to take a safe win and just defend mid, which I think I'm going to do, instead of going into home node. The Derecho combo here into the 5, he blinks out, but I've got Air Overload. I get CC'd though, so I'm not able to get it off. I put stability up so I can't get power blocked anymore, but they still burst me pretty hard. I use the Water 4 into 2 combo, but their Thief is now here. I landed a nice Meteor though, and that might have done some damage to them, but yeah, as you can see, the Thief is still going to be able to finish me off. So yeah, being outnumbered in 1v2 like this is the main reason why you do not want to be holding nodes by yourself, because then you're susceptible to being +1. Not a good situation, but it kind of looks like at this point our team has captured side nodes while I was outnumbered. So when you do have teammates, it feels pretty good to, play this build. When you're alone, it doesn't feel so good. So rotations, really important. Positioning, really important. And learning your combos. But if you do like this kind of content, then please be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll come out with all the spear videos eventually. So I'll see you guys when that happens.